South Africa and Nigeria will be clashing in a crucial World Cup qualifier in Bloemfontein tonight in what will be the 18th encounter between the two countries, going up against each other in a rivalry that dates back 33 years. Now, to talk about this, we've cast our net wide and found two gentlemen who are well versed in African football. Joining us from Nigeria virtually, we have Azubuike Jideaka, who is a Nigerian football historian, as well as a familiar face in Mthokozisi Dube from the Far Post. Hey, good morning, gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us this morning on Sports and Morning Live. Azubuike, I want to start with you because we look at the journey that Nigeria has had in these World Cup qualifiers that started back in 2023. And many would say not quite the qualification they would have expected from Nigeria. From your vantage point, what would you say hasn't gone right for the Super Eagles this time around when you look at them sitting third in Group C on 10 points after 7 games played?
Okay, good morning. Thank you for having me. The Nigerian team has had a problem with their organization, and they've not been able to make the decisions at the right time. Before Peseiro took us to the AFCON, Peseiro had already been showing us from the friendly games and the competitive games we played before the qualifier started that he wasn't really the right man for this job. Now, you would have expected the NFF to have made a decision regarding his appointment before the start of the qualifiers, but they didn't make that decision early enough. The first 2 games, we had no business not picking 6 points, to be honest, against Lesotho and Zimbabwe. But that has been our own undoing because those 2 games were very crucial to how the qualifiers were going to take place and all of that. So when we didn't get those 6 points, we obviously did well at AFCON, which personally I felt it was a fluke because it's tournament competition, and sometimes not necessarily the best teams have fantastic
results,
do so well in these tournaments and all of that, results and all of that. So everybody expected after the AFCON they will follow up with their performance, but that's not been the case. Peseiro left, we got Infinity George, and personally I felt him taking that job was a ticking time bomb, and it proved me right, and we couldn't get the point against South Africa in Uyo, and at the same time we lost to Benin Republic. So those 4 games, in my opinion, have been like the bane of Nigeria's struggle so far.
Indeed. Perhaps until we then look at South Africa, very contrasting in terms of how they've approached this World Cup qualifiers. You look at Coach Hugo Broos and his troops, 5 victories, 1 draw, 1 loss. And not only are South Africa winning games, but you can see Coach Hugo Broos also building depth in terms of the squad.
Absolutely. I think Hugo Broos has done extremely well to build a very competitive squad. I mean, going into this game, you're looking at the back line, 19-year-old Mthokozisi making his debut. You had Thabo Moloisane making his competitive debut. You had so Ndamane coming, a 21-year-old left-footed centre-back. So whoever comes into the team, goes in and they do very well. I think that's the kind of team that Hugo Broos has built. I mean, he throws in a young Gota up front and he scores a goal. So I think it's a beautiful trajectory for Bafana Bafana.
And Azubuike, should Nigeria not get maximum points against South Africa tonight or possibly walk away with a draw? From your point of view, do you still see Coach Eric Chele having the backing not only of the federation but also of the general public in Nigeria as well as the players?
Now, for Chele, he came in a very difficult time. I don't think this is the best time to actually be the manager of the Super Eagles right now. Yes, we might have the best players and all that, but we're having a depth problem. Like my colleague just said now, South Africa have depth. They can pull up players from different teams in the league. Like I know the core of the South African team are built by Mamelodi Sundowns and Orlando Pirates players. You can't necessarily say the same for the Nigerian national team. You could see the performance of the Nigerian team at the CHAN. It was poor. That tells you that the standard of our league is bad at the moment, and we don't really have the depth to pull players from. A lot of these players we've used so far in our squad are players who've been together for the last 8 years, and they've not been opportunities to kind of like get in fresh blood and all of that. And our midfield is quite, to be honest, for the last 6-7 years, it's been quite the same. We've not really necessarily had a lot of options and all of that. So for Eric Chell, we cannot afford to change managers, to be honest with you. We just have to let him continue. He came in a very critical time, and he's not expected to do miracles, to be honest with you. So him staying, even if we don't get a win today, he just has to continue so that we just keep building from there. Because right now we don't need disarray at the moment. There's a lot of chopping and changing in the last 1 year, and we don't need that right now.
No more chopping and changing there, says Azubuike, in terms of Nigeria. In terms of this South African side, though, Mtho, a quick one. Do we have any sort of indication from a FIFA point of view on this possible points deduction for South Africa for having fielded Tebogo Mokoena when he should have been suspended in that encounter against Lesotho back in June? Do we know? Will there be a point sanction? Are we going to get a notification saying we're not doing anything at all? From what you're hearing out at the far post?
Yeah. Look, quite interesting, because the Nigeria coach yesterday is speaking about it and saying he expects FIFA to act swiftly
and quickly
to resolve this issue, because FIFA has not said a word. No one knows. There's not been any communication in terms of what's going to happen. So we remain in the dark on what FIFA is going to do.
All right, gentlemen, I am running out of time. Azubuike, I'll come to you first. If you can just give me the nation tonight that you think will be walking away with the 3 points, or perhaps are you foreseeing a share of the spoils?
Nigeria has no other reason but to win this game, to be honest. And considering we've not beaten South Africa away in over more than 10 years, since 2008, we've not had a victory in South Africa. So we are long overdue a victory. And this is, like, for me, for this current set of players, this is the biggest game they are going to play for a very, very long time. And this will define most of their international career. So I would fancy Nigeria to get a win, just a 1-0 win. So far, we've not been scoring so many goals, and just a 1-0 win will do.
You did win in that AFCON game, by the way. But a quick one from you, South Africa, Nigeria tonight.
Look,
just the country.
I predict a 2-1 Bafana Bafana.
Bafana Bafana, 2-1 victory in favor of South Africa's Bafana Bafana. Thank you so much to the gentleman, Azubuike, joining us there from Nigeria, as well as Mthokozisi from the far post. That's where we'll leave it for now in terms of your sport news right here on Morning Live. You can, of course, catch that encounter live on SABC 2 with the build-up starting at 5 this evening.